Howdo? Who's ready for a bit of this? That's nice. Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to King Bespoke Creations. It's carving day. Woohoo! Today we are going to be carving the headstock. Not just final shape, but this figurehead that's going to be in the top. So the whole guitar, if you haven't seen this before, the whole guitar is a shipwreck theme. It's going to have some heavy relief carving on the body of a shipwreck. It's going to be awesome. But along with that, I thought it might be kind of cool to put a figurehead, like you used to have on the old ships, on the end of the headstock. If you watched the last video, I said I would also be putting the fret slots in. I'm not going to do that today, and the reason for that is generally when you put your fret slots in, you want to have the board radiused. Well, if I'm going to be carving this off, this nice flat lump that I've got gives me a perfect clamping surface to keep everything still. Going to figure out where the pegs need to go, those tuning peg holes, so that I know exactly what's going on when we start taking this down, because that's quite thick at the moment and needs to go down to the 13 mil, something like that. Right, well, let's go and get a ruler out, shall we? So I'm going to measure off the distances for my string spacing so I can figure out where my holes need to go. We need to measure where the outside strings are going to be. So I'm going to say 4 mil in from the narrowest part here, where a straight nut would have been. So 4 mil in is where the center of the strings are going to be. Now I don't have a string spacing ruler. What I do have is this set of calipers that's measuring where those strings are going to sit that we've just done, and that's pretty bang on 35 mil. So what we need to do is just divide that number by 5, not 6. A lot of people want to divide by 6 because we've got 6 strings, but between there is only 5 gaps in between those 6 strings. So we divide that number by 5. So the string spacing comes out at 7 mil. So I've marked off there where that's going. Started with the center line, either side of the center line, and then worked our way out from there. So I need to do the same at this end. Right, so that's those lines in. So now I'm going to go 15 mil in from the edge of my headstock, which is this line here. 15 mil in from there, and then do right the same up here as well. We have a connection there, 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 there. So that connecting point there, that cross, is where the string wants to wrap around the peg, like that. And what that's given me is a 29 mil spacing in between each peg. Now, under full disclosure, I'll let you know that I drew those lines at least half a dozen times before they were accurate enough to give me a consistent spacing all the way up the headstock. It might take a couple of goes to make sure you get it right. Okay, don't be worried about making mistakes, just rub it out, try again. There we go. There's our holes, nice and straight as they catch through the light. Excellent. Morning. Right, I'm going to get on with some carving now, but where do we start? Well, it's always a good idea to do a test carve. So grab an offcut of the wood you're going to use, try and recreate some of those curves, lines. Sometimes you'll find it just doesn't work. Bits chip off, the grain doesn't want to go in that direction. Sometimes you can find you can put more detail in than maybe you first thought because the wood's holding together so spectacularly well. I did a test piece, and normally you don't need to do anything like the full piece, but I got a little bit carried away. So I finished the entire lot and then decided I would mount it, and it came into something like this. Now if you keep watching to the end of the video, you can find out how you can get your hands on this. Exciting times. So what I found when I did the test carving is that kind of slightly wishy-washy lines like this, where it's just pencil drawn on, is quite difficult to follow. There's too many waves in there to easily pick out exactly where I want to go. So what I did is printed off the design I did on the iPad, which is just a little bit cleaner. It's a slightly different size to this, but still fits on that area there. And I printed off in double aspect. Okay, so what this means is I can now stick one on that side, and I can stick one on the back side as well under there. Make sure that I line those up perfectly, and I've got a double-sided image that I can then go through with the chisels. Stuck this side on, and then because we know that this is cut at exactly the right angle, what I'm going to do is draw a line down here where this side meets, and then down to the opposite side so that this can match up perfectly with that on the flip side, which then gives us that. So then we've got something to mark off from both sides. So what kind of chisels are we going to use? Well, as many as possible. We've got lots of the longer chisels like these with different gouges, funny bends and things like that, which we might use, where's it gone? With a knocking stick or a mallet, whatever you want to call it. I suspect with a lot of what we're going to do today, it will be done with these palm chisels that don't require any knocking, though you can if you want to. Don't be afraid to use something other than a chisel. So I have this really cheap set of like needle files in different shapes. So that's just a plain round one. There's flat ones, there's semi-rounds, there's triangulars. Those files can come in handy for getting into nooks and crannies where you might find that to get in with the chisel you're going against the grain, so maybe the file might be the better option. Try something, see what works. This is what the test carve is for. Right, now here comes the scary bit. We actually need to work on the neck now. A common question when starting a 3D carve is, where do you start? My answer, 2D. So what I'm going to do is use this little saw here, and I'm going to go around the edge of the picture that we want to carve out to give us a 2D image all the way through. Then we'll start thinking 3D. This is effectively two relief carvings that are going to join together. We could think of it that way around. So sometimes with a relief carving you want to start at the highest point, which on here would probably be her shoulder, and then work down from there. The problem is with this, because I'm coming in from two sides, if I do that I could easily dig in too far and find she's got a stick waist. So what I'm going to do is actually start at the narrow point, probably either the waist or the head. I think the waist because it's the easy bit, and then work out from there. And if I find I need to take a little bit more wood off to get the shoulder and waist ratio correct, that's fine. If I start at the shoulder and go too thin, take too much wood off, not a lot I can do about that. That is the scariest carving section out of the entire lot done. So now we can work on that first cut. Always the scariest bit. once you've started, it really is just a case of extending where you're cutting through and through, drawing little lines like I have done for the head and the shoulders there, and then working through section by section, one bit at a time, making sure each part flows into the next. Right, okay, so that's most of this front area done. So now I'm interested in the dress that's getting flowed along the back, which means we need to think about this area and getting this down to its proper width. So we're going to go with 15 mil. Using a center finding ruler, I could just then go 7 mil either side. Will get me something like, won't it? Oh yeah, something like that. And then because this isn't going to be perfectly flat, it's going to be ridged like a ship would be. Doesn't have to be super mega precise, so I can just make those lines like that. Lovely. And let me just do the same on the other side. Well, we're pretty much there. Just want to show you how utterly perfect those lines are. Look at that, isn't that just beautiful hair with the lines in the oak? I couldn't have drawn those on better. Amazing. Well, I'm really quite pleased with that. So there we go. What do you think? Figurehead, ship. That is pretty much what I wanted to get out of this. I've still got the volute to sort out on the back. I'll do that on another day, I think. I'm barely struggling to see now. Yes, you can get your hands on this. When this entire guitar is finished, it will be going up for charity auction, like the guitar I did last year. This time it's going to be going for the RNLI. The lifeboat people that surround Britain. These guys are absolutely awesome and save thousands of people every year, and they're volunteers, and it's a charity, and they're just amazing. And I live near the coast and see their ships out on the water regularly. So with this being a shipwreck theme, I thought that would be a fitting charity to go for. So the whole guitar, when it's done, will be auctioned off on eBay like I did last year, and all the profits for that will go towards that charity. This one, however, is going to go towards buying some pickups for this guitar. So this is going to fund part of this guitar that's then going to go for charity. I don't know whether many of you know, I'm actually a driving instructor by profession and haven't been able to work for 12 months. So there's not a lot of cash lying around for things like pickups. So maybe put a cheeky bid on for this. Has my logo carved in the bottom, look. I'll stick it on eBay. I'm going to put it on a fortnight's worth of bid. Okay, so a 2-week period. I'll put a link and all the details in the description down below. Please click on that and go and have a look and see if you can grab yourself something a little bit exclusive. Well, I haven't decided what we're going to do next time. It's all going to be a surprise even to me. So until then, sharpen your tools and I'll see you soon. God bless.